But church for me when I was growing up was just Sunday church. You'd go and then you'd get on with your week, and I never really knew that you could have a relationship with God or you could do any of that. So my name is Taylor. I grew up in Ottawa Lake, Michigan, right across the border, with my mom, my dad, my two brothers, and my sister, and I was the oldest of four. Growing up, we grew up Catholic, and we went to church every Sunday, was baptized Catholic, had my first communion Catholic. A little bit of backstory, I was kind of overweight as a kid, and I got bullied a lot. I remember going home to my parents and just crying. When I got into middle school, high school, I started to play sports and lose some weight. But with that, I had really bad self-esteem issues, and I remember just getting really disordered with my eating, and I would be counting every single calorie, even gum, and I would be working out extra after practice, and I wanted, to have this self-image that you would see on TV or in the movies. I developed a pretty bad eating disorder. I would kind of go through cycles of not eating at all and kind of being anorexic, or I would kind of binge eat and then throw up, and I never really thought I had a problem for a long time, and then it kind of got to the point where I started to kind of feel like I had a problem, and I was too embarrassed to say anything to my parents. And I remember I went to therapy, and I was paying out-of-pocket costs because I didn't want to go through my parents' insurance. And when my money ran out because I was in high school, I kind of had to go to my mom, and I just remember that was a really hard conversation for me to have with her, because you always want to impress your parents. You never want them to think that you have anything wrong with you. As a straight A student, I played sports, and I wasn't supposed to have these problems. But she was, really supportive, and I went to therapy for a while for that. With my eating disorder, I feel like I also had a lot of underlying depression, anxiety, and things like that. And I felt so empty. I just felt like I had this void in me, and I had, I had all these friends, I had everything going for me, but I felt lonely. I felt empty. I could be in a room full of people, and I would feel like I had nothing. I remember my sister kind of started going to Soma when she was in college and getting in with that, and she'd always be come to church with me, and I was so resistant to go for a long time, and I don't know why. I just was I don't need that, I'm fine, everything's fine. I'd kind of stopped going to church a long time ago, and I'm fine. And I remember one day I kind of finally went with her and my brother-in-law, and I really liked it. I liked the message. I felt like everyone was super nice and super welcoming, and so I was kind of okay, this isn't bad. So I started to kind of look up Bible verses on Pinterest and do kind of things like that for anxiety. And I remember just praying to God to help me through stuff. I was trying to fill these voids with drinking and partying and doing things that looking back is not who I am at all today. I really think a turning point was when I saw God start working in my life. My now fiance Jake, he kind of reconnected us. We were living across the United States, and he ended up moving back home, and we ended up reconnecting, and I seriously think that he was a godsend to me to help me through everything. I was still having a lot of depression problems. I was still really sad, feeling really empty. I would go through days where I'm super happy and other days where I just felt worthless and hopeless. And I remember there was one day in particular that I kind of was having a panic attack in my closet, and I remember I was just bawling my eyes out, and Jake just was sitting there hugging me, and I remember just praying to God, I just need you to to take over my life. And I saw people who Jesus had changed their life, and I wanted that so bad. I remember Jake was saying he would start going to church. He never grew up and went to church, and he's been coming with me for over a year now, and it's so nice and refreshing to have that support. And I've had so much support from so many people. And I just remember after that, I kind of let myself have this good relationship with Jesus, and I feel I'm so much better for it. I started like having less anxiety because I just know like let go and let God, and I know that He like has a plan for me, and everything that He's done for me since then like has worked out. And even if I think it's not for the best, like it's for the best. I think the biggest thing that I've gotten from having a relationship with Jesus is like knowing my self-worth and knowing that like I'm enough and I'm not empty and I'm not any of those things. But like it's so worth it, and I can say that like my life has like done a complete 180 in the last couple of years, and like it just is so nice. When I first went to counseling for my eating disorder, I remember I was like super hesitant at first. I was like kind of embarrassed, and each time that I went I would be like a little more open, and she would have me do exercises, you know, write down how I'm feeling and what things lead up to how I'm feeling and what triggers do I have, you know, those types of things. And I still to this day like use that when I'm feeling anxious. I write down, well, why am I feeling anxious? You know, what led up to me feeling anxious, and what can I do about it, and what can I not control at all? And you know, you write those things down, you realize a lot of it you can't control at all. But I think that, you know, therapy helped me so much because it made me kind of take a step back and realize who I am, and like kind of like how I act and how I like respond to things, how I respond to stress, how I respond to pain, how I respond to happiness, how I respond to everything. And I really think that that was something that helped me kind of like laid a foundation for the rest of my life now too. I don't think that there is like a stigma with counseling. I wish everyone would go to counseling, like even if you feel like you don't have problems, because you learn so much about yourself and how you cope with things and how you deal with stress, and there's a lot of things that therapy can help you with.